Good evening, everybody. This is the UK iRacing Discord and community group. We're a group of men and women who are part of one of the fastest growing iRacing Discord communities on iRacing. We all share a love for iRacing and sim racing in general. The Discord allows us to get together for leagues and events and generally share advice and experience on iRacing. I'm Tim Cox, and today you join us for the final round of Season 1 of our Discord GT3 League, coming to you live from the rolling hills of Spa in the province of Liège in Belgium. I'm joined by the delightful Nick Allen. Nick, when I think of Spa, I think of David Coulthard's spin in the wet Formula One race of 1998, which wiped out pretty much half the field. The tragic death of Antoine Hubert in 2019. And of course, when it started to snow during the WEC race of the same year. What makes Spa so iconic?
Well, Tim, to be honest, I think you've stolen most of the moments right there from me. Most of those historic moments you've stolen. One thing that we can remember is Lando Norris, obviously engine failure very late on in a race in Spa. You mentioned Antoine Hubert, another recent part of history, but there's so many corners on this track, such as Radiano Rouge, Lecombe, Blanchimont, all corners with a lot of history that we love to watch racing on. And I think one clip that I watched earlier was the Perez clip coming up Radillon when he gets it sideways, and the wet very, very nearly hitting that wall on the left-hand side and then just managing to get it back under control. So, yeah, fantastic circuit. Really looking forward to seeing what these guys have got here tonight.
Definitely. So, in real life, last year's Spa 24 race was won by a Porsche by the Rowe team, piloted by Laurent Vantor, Nick Tandy, and El Bamba. Obviously, the Porsche doesn't run within iRacing GT3 currently at the moment, so it'll be good to see a different car up on the top step of the podium. Now we're just going to go to a track guide by Ferrari driver Paul Busby.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Paul Busby. I'm here to take you through a lap around the famous Spa Francochamps circuit. So to start the lap, we head out of the bus stop chicane and down the start-finish line, heading down into the tight hairpin La Source, down into first, hugging the wall as close as possible, powering out the corner, down the hill towards the infamous Eau Rouge. Taking as much curb as possible on the left, through the compression, up to the top of the hill. This is flat out in the GT3s, taking as much curb on the left as we dare through Radillon, and then out through the Kemmel Straight. This is where we'll see how brave the teams have been with their setup. Lower downforce will be quicker in the straights, but it will make the car harder to control through the tricky corners. Braking down into third gear, into Lecombe. Quick right and then a left-hander, straight into Malmedy. Taking as much curb as possible on exit. Back down the hill, braking into the tricky braking zone into Bruxelles. It's downhill, so it's really easy to lock up here, and then we're patient, waiting to get back on the throttle. Slight tap onto the brakes to bring the front end of the car in through No Name, back onto the power as quickly as possible. Then down into Pouon. Light trail braking down into fourth gear. Bringing the throttle back in gently as soon as you dare. Going wide here is a no-no. There's a big curb on the exit that can launch the car into orbit. Now into the smooth S's of Le Fan. Third gear, using as much of the track as possible, being as smooth as you can on inputs. Now we head down into Campus, a tricky right-hander where timing getting back on the throttle is crucial for the exit. Now up into Stavelot. Some of the cars can take this flat. The Ferrari needs a little bit of a lift to not go wide. Exit here is so important as we head down into the long, fast section of the course. As we head back through the forest, up towards the left kink of Blanchimont. This is a sixth gear corner, 150 mile an hour plus on entry. Driver's bravery is key through here, taking as much curb as possible on the exit as we fly towards the bus stop. Braking hard all the way down into first gear, into the right-hander, then flicking it back into the left, then down to the start-finish line to finish a lap. Thank you for joining me. Now we head back over to Tim and Nick for quali.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Paul. So Paul Busby, one of our drivers in the UK Discord community. Also, Paul took part in the Daytona 24 along with a number of other members of the community. We entered 6 teams from the UK iRacing community, all running various different colour schemes associated with the teams. Now, we did this with a twist. The teams were actually racing and streaming to raise money for the mental health charity Mind. So the teams, they raised in total, it was £2,175. Now, we believe this is a very important topic. You know, everyone's been in lockdown for a very long period of time. People are in closed spaces, some people alone, and some people have had to obviously deal with the stress of being out of work and potentially even losing loved ones. So a charity like Mind is very important, and we're very happy to have raised some money for those guys. So a big thank you to everybody who was involved in organising the Daytona 24, the team members that drove for us, the streamers who were streaming the Daytona as well for us, the viewers, and of course all of the people who were kind enough to donate to the cause. So
Yeah, I
Tim,
think it's well worth mentioning there, Nick, is that we initially only had a target of raising £500 for the charity. That came and went incredibly quickly, thanks to the generosity of all the donators. That target was then raised up to 1,000, and that came and went again incredibly quickly. And we reset the bar at £1,500, and we ended up surpassing that. So it was an absolutely brilliant all round from everyone, from drivers, and thank you so much to the kind donators to what is an absolutely brilliant charity. Absolutely brilliant, and I know they'll definitely be welcoming of the money. Just as we're waiting for qualifying to get underway, Nick, I was chatting before the race to a couple of the drivers, one of them being James Armstrong, and he raced earlier in the week on the channel in the Radical race, where he'd been having quite a few issues with just gauging his fuel levels, and he was highly relieved to finally string it all together, work out where the pits were, and pull it together, and end up coming out a race winner. Now, interestingly, he's one of our Lamborghini drivers today. And from what he was saying is that he's got some really good times, but he's really worried about the Ferraris and the straight line power that they have. So it could be quite an interesting one to see how that plays out during during qualifying.
yeah, well, straight line power will count for a lot at certain points in this track. We've obviously got the Kemmel Straight, very long piece of track that these guys are going to be chasing each other down, really punching a hole in the air in front of their competitors' cars. From reading the notes from a previous race, it looked like the Mercs in particular were one of the slower cars in the straights. Interesting, you said you were talking to James. I managed to get a word in with a couple of people from a couple of the drivers who are going to be with us this evening. So I spoke with Carl Cranswick and just asked if he had any thoughts going into this evening's finale. Spa, he said, wasn't really a great track for him. He's always struggled to kind of have good pace, but that being said, really, he's hoping to keep out of trouble, focus on his lines, and still kind of hopeful for a top 10 finish. Same question really went out to Tom Carroll, but also asked him about any kind of particular highlights from this season. He said to me, I'll read it out word for word because it's a slightly longer answer. The answer is twofold. From a pure racing standpoint, how clean the races have been is a real highlight. The battling that has taken place throughout, especially enjoying battling with Ben for a large portion of the season. Getting much higher at the grid position than he anticipated at Brands Hatch was really nice, although very short-lived. Apparently, I'm not sure what happened to him in the race that came after that. From an organisational standpoint, though, he said, how much fun everyone's having with the league, seeing people improve week on week. The competition's been friendly throughout the league, and there's a whole lot of interest moving into a new season 2 of the GT3s, which will be coming later this year. So he's hoping to see more of the same, some big battles, and 3 divisions next season rather than one single race like we've got tonight.
Yes, so in terms of season 2, the place is filled up incredibly quickly. based on the popularity of what season 1 has had, and obviously where we've grown the community rapidly. So the Discord community only started back in October, and already we've amassed around 800 members, which is a frighteningly quick growth. It'll be interesting, obviously, just going back to the Lamborghinis. I also touched base with our race winner of last time, Alberto Gravilli, and he was saying, obviously, he was highly happy that he won his home race, being part of our half Italian of descent. So it's one race that he was targeting before when the schedule initially came up. Now, he was saying quite similar to James, where they're both worried about the Ferraris, as we mentioned earlier, and they've been running with low downforce setups. However, they were possibly going to tweak it back and just add a little bit of extra downforce on to make sure that they were nice and stable throughout the sort of once you pass the Kemmel Straight, where it's a bit more technical and downforce really comes into play.
Well, we're talking about parts of the circuit just there. You and I went out for a few laps together
Yes.
the other day, and we were definitely making some notes on where we expected to see some interesting competition, particularly into the Kemmel Straight down into Lake Combe. We think that people are going to be forcing some errors down there. There's going to be cold tyres and people missing braking zones under pressure. Same goes for the bus stop, really. That's another area where you can expect to see people hitting the brakes really late, running off, and potentially missing their mark.
Definitely. It's I think definitely the key is going to be ensuring getting a great exit out of La Source to then carry the speed up through Eau Rouge, Radion, and of course it's just amplified as you go down the Kemmel Straight. So looks like our driver's just having out onto their formation lap currently. Just making sure they're getting the tyres nice and warmed up so they've got the most amount of heat possible into the car, ready for the start, especially through that tricky section, as I was just mentioning, through Eau Rouge and Radion, where if you've got, as we experienced on our little outing yesterday morning, if you've got cold tyres, it's incredibly tricky, and you'll end up losing a lot of. As I think I've just seen a couple of people lose it on the formation lap there.
I think I just saw some smoke in the distance. Yeah, some smoke in the distance. I'm seeing this from the scenic view at the minute, with the track overlay, the weather conditions on at the moment, and I just saw in the distance a small puff of smoke.
Yeah, it looks like someone lost it just on the first part of Eau Rouge. So that'll be a few choice words said inside the cockpit, undoubtedly. Last thing you need is damage, especially affecting the aerodynamics before you've even got started on the race. And I think it may well have been, yeah, it was David Lowson. It looks like I'm seeing who was the person who ended up hitting the wall. Well, it's definitely one of them there. So just coming around latter part of the lap, sort of halfway through the lap now. Coming through into campus, and just like I said, just making sure the car's nice and warmed up ahead of what should be a great hour-long race tonight.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. So now I'm seeing car number 42 up the front there. That's C. Brown behind James Armstrong. James Armstrong looking very fighty behind Mr. Print in car number 17. What's going to happen here?
Not a great deal. So it's just rounding out now through the bus stop as we get ready. Because in 1, 2, GT3 is go! As the cars now head up to La Source. Some people just keeping it, looks like it's relatively safe, all line astern. If we just, as Paul Busby's taken the lead, he's just about to enter up into the Eau Rouge complex now. He's got a nice, comfortable leave over Shadbolt, that is, and he's, as per his track guide, he's taken that absolutely perfectly. And now just relax a bit as we take the nice long down the Kemmel Straight as we enter into Lake Combe. It looks like everyone feels quite spread out already, so it doesn't look like we're going to get too much action. It's one of the white cars in the background. I think it was Gravelli losing a place there.
Look at Shadbolt staying right in the back of Busby there. And then Hitchin just trying to hang on to that fight, trying not to lose him, but trying to keep that gap between him and P4.
Looks like Shadbolt's managed to just close up the gap there. It looked like Paul Busby had pulled a bit more of a gap coming along Camel Straight. But as you mentioned, Shadbolt, he's close right up to the back. He's now within half a second of Busby. And as predicted, it's 1, 2, and 3 currently, all Ferraris.
So I'm really interested to see what Armstrong's got here today. Armstrong's been really, really fighty in some of the races that we've seen previously. As we mentioned before, some inconsistencies and mistakes around fueling, problems that he's had at races prior to this that have led him down. But P5, not normally where we're used to seeing him, a bit further up normally.
Oh, definitely. So it looks like him and Gravelli working together there to close the gap to the Ferraris. So they're the first of, I think they're the first of our non-Ferrari runners. So
Nick in front there of James, really having to hang on to that place through Blanchimont. Is he going to get him under braking here? No, it doesn't look like it. They're going into the chicane nice and gently. No heroics here today. Now, will James be able to try and move into Radion? Let's see what he feels like. Maybe he's going to get fighty into La Source.
Definitely. So the end of lap 1, your order is Busby first, Shadbolt second, Hitchin third, Print fourth, Armstrong, Gravelli, Brown in 7th, Bickley, Masters, and Cullen rounds out the top 10.
Armstrong now looking to follow Nick Print up the hill, hoping to find some pace there in the slipstream. Are we going to see the move done at the Camel Straight? Let's keep watching this, Tim.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably a little bit too far back. It'd be interesting to see how much downforce these guys are running, whether they did rein it back and add an extra click of downforce on, as Busby's having to defend hard there to Shadbolt. But it looks like Shadbolt's actually got the pass through slightly off camera there. So brilliant move by Aidan Shadbolt. He'll be definitely happy if Paul Busby's one of the faster racers within the GT3 community.
So we've moved forward to that now. We're looking at that fight going into Bruxelles. Oh, and we've got a replay of that move from Shadbolt. Is that into the Camel Straight? It is. It's into Lake Coombe on the inside. He's held onto it beautifully. Busby's lost a bit of pace on the outside there, but he's managed to hold on to the back. Great move from Shadbolt.
Paul Busby will be slightly miffed with that one. He loves an overtake round the outside himself. So the fact he's managed to lose it to Shadbolt, as it looks like just approaching, coming a little bit further around the lap. So he'll be looking to just remain tight up to the back of Shadbolt now to hopefully maybe make a move on him coming into the bus stop chicane.
The top three are only covered by about 0.7 seconds at the moment. It looks like about 0.8 between Shadbolt and Hitchin. So that gap was really close a minute ago between Busby and Shadbolt. Now we're going back to James Armstrong, who looks like he's going to try for a move on the outside or on the inside of Blanchimont even. That is brave.
Well, that is brave. Hold tight, everyone, as they go side by side. This could end in disaster, but no, it looks like, I think that's, I'm just trying to have a look at the screen. So yes, James Armstrong ahead. So now he's got ahead of Print, who was originally the first of the non-Ferrari runners. So we've got 3 Lamborghinis. Line astern covered by less than a second. So let's see what Armstrong can manage to do now as he comes down into La Source. Hard on the brakes, tuck it in nice and close on the inside. Good exit there, plenty of traction, and he should be through now as they make their way up to Radion and Eau Rouge.
Nick Print a lot closer than Armstrong appeared to be at this point on the last lap. Looking at this, I think on the last lap Armstrong was possibly just a little bit further back, and it looks like Nick Print now only 0.2 of a second behind him. He has a really good chance. James Armstrong going to move over to the right hand side of the track, try and cover that inside line, back over to the outside, swoops in. Not getting that move done today, are you, Nick?
Oh,
Chris Edisford has had a crash apparently.
Let's see. So he's just coming around the latter part of the lap down through Blanchimont, and so easily done on the colder tyres, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, very easy in the early stages of a race. If you're pushing it too hard around there, a lot of the time we we'd prefer to see a bit of lifting just to make sure that we get through there. Now Busby, we're back to Busby in P2. Looks like he's dropping back just a little bit now from Shadbolt. 0.5 of a second separates them, with Hitchin 0.3 behind.
Yeah, we've got Hitchin. He was flashing the lights there, trying to give Paul Busby the hurry up, saying, look, I'm faster. Come on, get a move on. Close the gap up to Shadbolt, or I'm going to look to do a move on yourself. So literally, we can't hardly separate these three. Less than a second covers first place Shadbolt, second place Busby, third place Hitchin. So it looks like we've got Alberto Gravilli here, and yep, he's gone around the outside of Print there. It looked like he seemed to be slowing up and almost went a bit too defensive, and it's caught him out massively now, as he's got Brown just is closed right up behind him here. And it'd be interesting to say with these two, just to see how close they remain for the rest of the lap.
Appears to have lost a lot of pace there as he came into Bruxelles.
He's dropped right back. Yeah, Prince died for the pits, so whether he's got some sort of technical problem there, he's losing place. He's just watched him drop down the order like a stone. He's all the way down to 10th place now as he's come into the pits. So that'll be absolutely disappointing for Print. He was in 4th place originally, before that all started to unfold, and he's just literally falling down the order like a stone. He's down to 12th now.
Now, is that a tow, Tim, or is that an actual pit stop, do we think?
No, I think it's got to be some form of damage, I'd say, personally, because it's way too early in the race.
We'll try and catch that in a minute. We're just having a look at Stuart Bickley now, who is looking for a move. It looks like, or has he just lost that place, Tim?
I'm not too sure. So have a look down the timing screens. But either way, he's lost quite a bit. He's just lost that place, and he's lost quite a bit of time as well there. He's dropped right back, and he's being chased down now by the BMW behind him.
It's very easy to lose a lot of time if you get Lecombe wrong. The exit out of there is very slow. Now we're going to go to Jonathan Hitchin, who is looking for a move here on Paul Busby. Let's have a look.
It's amazing, isn't it? You know, so close to the race, he's absolutely hung on. Initially, made a game from where Shadbolt and Busby were racing hard, and it's cost Busby dearly. And Hitchens managed to close right at the back of him, and Busby would be a bit upset about that, undoubtedly, as Shadbolt's one of the AM drivers, so he's on a different point system. So it'll just be, I'm sure he would have liked the first overall, definitely knowing Paul. He's a true Essex lad, you know, very forthright, loves to be first at everything in what he does. He was definitely one of us, obviously, as you mentioned before the show, he was during the Daytona, he was one of our stronger drivers within that. I think he did a stint across the whole race of 12 hours in total, so a lot of driving time. As Armstrong just set the fastest lap last time around, a 2:18 dead, which was around about 0.3 quicker than our lead 3. So he's definitely starting to close up that gap now. He's only 2.7 seconds behind our top 3.
James Armstrong looking strong, going out Radion at the moment.
Definitely.
We're just going to go back to another view of Chris Edisford, who's gone to the pits after another accident.
Yeah, that's his second one of the evening. It looked like exactly the same spot around Blanchemont.
Oh, we just heard that Armstrong's had an off track. Oh no, it's not as bad as we thought. Armstrong's just gone a little bit wide on the right-hand side of Radion.
I don't think he would encroach a time penalty for that one, would he?
No, I think you only get the time penalty here if you cut the inside on the left. Now we're on a live cam now on board with Paul Busby. Hopefully you can see that with us. Paul still chasing down Shadbolt. Shadbolt is pulling the gap a little bit though. It's gone from 0.8 on the last lap to more like 0.9 now. So the question is, will Paul be able to gain that time back, or is he going to be spending too much time now fighting with the car behind?
Definitely, it'd be tricky for him. Do you think it's more of a case of should he try and chase down Shadbolt, or should he try and cement second place? Bear in mind that Shadbolt is in a different championship.
Well, fighting Shadbolt in theory offers no bonuses in that respect. I think the real moment that we're going to have to watch out for here is Paul kind of losing that place, having to fight Hitchin for that place. He doesn't want to lose that battle.
Definitely. So it looks like we've got a bit of movement in the midfield. Looks like we've had a few. Looks like I'm trying to see through the screen now who it was. Yeah, it looks like Gary Bennington's made a move on Neil Smith, P14, and Smith's lost the place also to David Norman as well. As we come back to Paul Busby here. Oh no, we've been back to Bennington. As we've got someone parked up on the inside when the Lamborghini's there. Not too sure who that was. There we go. So
Neil
we're now.
Smith, I've just heard, was the car that was parked there, Tim.
That makes sense. So coming up to quarter of an hour run. Your running order is Shadbolt in first, Busby in second, Hitch in third, Armstrong, who hasn't been able to close that gap up to the lead Ferraris yet. The gap slightly extended out to 2.7 seconds. Followed by Greeley in third, Brown sixth, seventh Bickley, Cullen, Masters, and Hitchin round up top 10. As he's the lead BMW driver currently. He's got Bickley just in front of him there. The gap's nice and tight. Where do you think would be the best place for him to make a pass here?
Well, let's bear in mind again that B. Cullen there is a AM driver, and he'll need to not worry too much about what Bickley's doing. If anything, if Bickley maybe decides to move out of the way, that might be a kind thing to do if Cullen is running much quicker than him. But for the most part, I don't think he technically owes him anything here. Cullen just needs to have a nice safe race, keep it clean, maybe take advantage of that slipstream, that toe. And we're going to go to Busby now. So Paul Busby appears to be losing yet more time to Hitchin. It's looking like 4/10 at the moment. Are we going to see him move on this next section of the track?
Yeah, it looks like he's just managed to pull out ever slightly fraction of a second more of a gap over Hitchin. Hitchin's one of Busby, two of our title contenders for the championship. So definitely be scrapping over every little scrap of points will count towards this. As I believe that Steve Olden's crashed.
Yeah, we've got a replay of that Steve Olden in the Mercedes here. This looks like he is coming into, is this the bus stop chicane?
It is indeed, yeah.
These Mercs can be, yeah, looks like, oh, he's not quite crashed. He's just, he's got the back end out a little bit on the left there, and it's just not been too kind for him. Luckily, he's managed to stop it and get it into a straight line again and then carry on his lap. But that will have cost him a bit of time down there in that last portion of the track coming into the start-finish straight.
Definitely. And it's still Linus third for places 1, 2, and 3. We've still got Shadbolt, Busby, and Hitchin. The gap's extended out slightly, so Busby's managed to pull a bit more of a gap over Hitchin in third place. The gap between the two out to around about 9/10 of a second now.
I wonder if that was a mistake from Hitchin, or whether Paul has just managed to kind of pull out the laps and managed to start bringing that gap down a little bit. It does look like he's gained very slightly on Shadbolt, although that isn't necessarily his race against Shadbolt, let's remember.
Definitely.
So I think we're going to go to a Neil Smith clip of him going off track in the Lambo Huracan. So just going to wait for that to come on screen now.
There we go. Oh, skipping around a little bit. There we go. Okay.
So we're now going live to Gary Bennington, P5 in the AM class. Now.
Yep. So Norman's pretty close. He'll be looking to make the move on Bennington here, as Norman's one of the pro drivers. Bennington's one of the AMs. So I'm sure Norman will be looking to get the move done sooner rather than later, so they can try and chase down the cars ahead of him.
I spoke to Dave Norman earlier, actually. Again, just asked him about any thoughts on Spa and what he was hoping to take away from the finale today. Now, he was expecting a very busy race, hoping potentially to turn all that practice into a fair race pace and kind of keep a cool head in lap one. Now, this is a overtake from Bickley that we're seeing.
So, no,
Oh no,
looks...
Bickley just under pressure at this stage.
So it's nice and tight behind Cullen. Where do you think is going to be his best place to make a move now? Do you think he should go make a dive at La Source or wait to maybe the end of the Kemmel Straight?
You might as well wait for the toe here, wait for the gap in the air, and chase that extra bit of time to make sure that you get ahead of the Kemmel Straight, and then maybe you can do him under braking. Maybe you can just get that place, slot past, and he can continue his race. I mean, he's got a long way to go to reach Shadbolt at this point, but anything can happen at Spa. It's a very technical track at points, and we could see Shadbolt lose it, and someone like Cullen really come off as a winner in the AM class if the cards play his way.
So both move to the inside, bit of a fake there, and positions remain as is. I mean, it's always good. I would imagine it's always going to be tricky where the Ferrari does have the higher top speed, but he seemed to do well in the BMW there, just to hold on to the back of the Ferrari going down Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, so they're not too close here on Bruxelles. They're keeping it nice and tidy on the inside. The Beamer looks to me like it might have had a bit of a better line there on the entry into the next corner. Now we're coming down to Fuon. Will he manage to gain any time through Fuon? We've just heard that Norman has passed Bennington now.
Textbook move through the slipstream by looks of things down the Kemmel Straight. Nice and clean.
What we like to see.
Definitely.
So we're back on Stuart Bickley trying to defend against Ben Cullen, or B. Cullen. Sorry, I just assumed Ben. I haven't. I think it is Ben. I'm being told by my cameraman that it is Ben. My mistake. Now, can Ben get the move done? Come on, Ben. We're rooting for you. Let's see you get past Bickley.
He seems to be driving on the absolute ragged edge, going off track slightly there. Just trying to carry this speed through Blanchimont now. Could we potentially see a move? Oh,
No.
even right there. Oh, he's really absolutely driving the car on the absolute limit there.
They're still close. They're still close into the chicane here. There could be a good exit to be had. Maybe even a move in La Source if Bickley makes a mistake under braking or something along those lines.
Cullen seemed to get the better drive there, Nick, coming off the bus stop chicane.
Still incredibly close into La Source. Now, Cullen, now is the time. He's got a lot of room ahead of him. He's going to have the slipstream there from Bickley. There should be plenty of time to be gained here, as long as they can both hold it together. Through Radion they go. Let's see who comes out on top at the end of the Kemmel Straight.
There's a bit of a lift there from Bickley by the looks of things, just to settle the car. Coming out of Eau Rouge, he's gone heavily defensively there to the right-hand side of the track, but Cullen just not seems to be close enough. If you're Ben Cullen currently, Nick, obviously you're racing in different championships, so there's not going to be a difference in terms of points with overtaking. What's your tactics right now? Do you sit behind him, or do you try and get past him and try and make gain on the pack of front, which is next person on the field is Brown?
Well, when you're in an advantageous position like Ben Cullen is here, you don't want to throw it away. You're still in to make a lot of really good points in the AM class. And yes, we are getting very excited about the action on track right now, despite them being technically in different leagues. But it's still great racing to see. And Cullen looks really hungry to get past Bickley. But you have to ask if it's worth the risk. Personally, I'd sit back. It really depends on the gap to Shadbolt and whether he thinks he's confident enough to make it. I would take the points at this point.
Definitely. So we resume back to the Busby Hitchin races. Looks like in the last lap, Hitchins just managed to close up the gap slightly. It's down to around about quarter of a second now as he looks to go up the inside of Busby. Could Hitchin pull it off? No, not quite. Busby just managed to hang on by the skin of his teeth there, coming into the bus stop chicane. But Hitchin's going to have the better run off where Busby was defending as they come down to La Source.
It did look like Paul was later on the brakes, though. He went a little bit wider, didn't he? Had the slower exit out there, and Hitchin was able to follow him really closely there into La Source. Now, again, will we see similar moves that we've seen throughout this race already? People
great
trying
divide with Hitchin right now through La Source.
Up they go, nice and tidy at Radion. No booze possible there, but will he be able to hold on to the back of that car? Let's watch now.
He's tucked into the slipstream. Busby goes defensive. It looks like they've coming up some cars in front of them, some lap traffic. We've got a Lamborghini who could potentially play a large part in this story right now.
Have we had Shadbolt get past that traffic already ahead?
Shadbolt's ahead. Shadbolt's past him, and the Lamborghini kindly moves over. What couldn't have come at a much more convenient time for Busby, so it hasn't lost out any time.
Watching on board from Hitchin's view at the minute, he was incredibly close to Busby. Again, as you say, Busby very, very lucky that Lambo moved out of the way to try and make this battle easier for him to defend, but I don't think that it has, because Hitchin is still on the back end of Paul's car.
I don't know if he was literally any closer. I think he could be sat in the passenger seat with him at this stage.
They'll be having a good old chat about the hot lap, Paul talking him through the race.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure Paul will be driving on every little bit of commentary where he's saying to how to put together for the perfect lap for Spa. Driving the absolute, every little bit of the performance out of that Ferrari.
I know what you were about to say then, Tim.
Yes.
Right.
No, Robert.
There's still a slipstream here.
All right. So.
Is he going to make a move here? Same place they were on the last lap where they were really close. Is he going to try to again pressure him into that final corner, into that final chicane?
Around out of Blanchemont now. Hitchin's right on the tail of Busby. He goes right, he's going left. We've got the trees in the way. Let's see what happens when they come out to Busby. And he's made it. He's done it.
He's got it stuck.
Absolutely brilliant, brilliant move there by Hitchin. So it'll be interesting to see now if you can get Busby, and if they can pull away and try and chase down Shadbolt, who's managed to extend his lead over second and third place now, out to around about 2.5 seconds, while these two have been scrapping as they pass another back marker who gets out of their way very quickly. So that would have hampered Hitchin at all. As Busby, there's literally 0.3 of a second between these two. They've been fighting since lap 1, hammer and tong. Literally, the biggest gap we ever had between them was around about 8 or 9 tenths of a second. As Busby looks to go around the outside, coming down Kemmel Straight.
This is under a tenth of a second now. This is under a tenth of a second, side by side, going into Lecombe. Who's going to come off better here? Busby ahead. Looks like Busby's ahead, and then into the left-hander. He's held it together.
He's ahead. He's made the pass around the outside.
This will be one for the highlights reel for the GT3 season. Fantastic work from Busby and
it's not over yet. It's
under braking.
Not quite. It's always a bit, isn't it a bit more tricky, obviously, coming down into that corner where it's just falling away from you.
They're
I know you're saying
on the edge. Really, really pushing it here, staying so close despite these battles. Now, the question is, does this give Armstrong a chance to start closing that gap? It looks like he's there, right behind now. Only 0.8 tenths to Hitchin. So every moment that Busby and Hitchin have this fight, James Armstrong's going to be rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, you guys fight it out. Use all that rubber and petrol and that energy up. I'm coming. I'm waiting for you.
It's brilliant. Drive. Oh, as we've got a spinner, I think it's Brown. Oh, he's lost it coming up into Eau Rouge there. Oh, and it's such a bad place to lose it, Nick.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
such a bad place to lose it, because that's all when the highest speed parts of the track is. Oh, that Ferrari it's crabbing massively. It's lost its bonnet. It's literally going, driving at right angles very nearly.
He's really struggling to keep that on track now, as you can see from that replay off to the right hand side. He goes, just letting those other cars through.
Oh.
Now, we've gone live to Busby now, because the fight is hotting up for P1, 2 and 3. This is a 3-car fight now. James Armstrong, we said, would be on the back of these guys, and he is.
But Armstrong was around about 2.5 to 3 seconds down on these two, but where they've been scrapping like mad for the last few laps, Armstrong's now within half a second of Hitchin in third place. It looks like Busby's just pulled out a bit of a gap now over Hitchin. So this could be Armstrong's chance to attack them. So obviously he can get a good line now coming through Eau Rouge.
And he's there. He's really close.
He's not sure he's going to be quite close. It's going to be a late lunge this. He's alongside. Nick, how's this going to end? I don't know. Hold your breath.
Keep watching now. James Armstrong's safely through on the inside. He's held it together lovely. It's almost as if Hitchin knew he was coming and knew there was nothing he could do about that speed behind him. So he's led him through. Maybe Hitchin can try and move now to get the place back into Bruxelles. Let's have a look and see what he tries.
Well, definitely. I was talking to Armstrong before the race. He was saying that he really wanted a first place, ideally, just to try and achieve, I think he was looking to achieve third place in the championship overall. So he's now making, obviously he's only got Busby in his sights. So if he can pass him, then it looks like he maybe will be able to cement that third place in the championship like he was hoping for.
Well, Paul Busby, we know, has been having a real fight with Hitchin. They've been trading places. There's been gaps. There's been of anywhere between 9/10 and 1/10 or into those overtakes. And now it's just a case of whether James can keep growing that gap from Hitchin, like it appears to be that he's doing, and keep sneaking in on the rear bumper of Paul Busby. We could see another Kemmel straight move, or we could see another move into the bus stop chicane into the last corners. But let's bear in mind we've still got a pit stop to go in this race, I believe, Tim.
Well, yeah, I was just about to ask you how is that going to play out. We've just cut to David Lawson here, and he's lost it. It looks like you've got one wheel on the grass, and that just gives you a one-way ticket to the barrier.
Now that looked suspiciously like he just was that under braking and he caught the inside left on the curb, and that's what spun him round?
I think he just caught a little bit of rear wheel just on the grass, and as we know within iRacing, and that was incredibly close with rejoining there. It'd be great to see a replay of how he lost it. As we ride now with Larson, he's just...
Oh, yeah, he got the the opposite side that I thought he got on the grass. He got the right-hand side on the grass, and that's what actually kicked him round. Very easy to do, especially when you're maybe looking for braking markers. Now we're going live to Paul Busby.
He's managed to pull himself out a bit of a gap now over Armstrong. He's 6/10 ahead of Armstrong, and Jonathan Hitchin has dropped back ever so slightly from that group of three. So he's just happened to cement that third place currently overall for Armstrong. So just having a little look down the pack, we've got a bit of a battle going over 18th place between Smith and Brown. Brown's fallen down the order where he's already taken his pit stop, as it looks like he's just got ahead of him. A bit of a nudge on the way through there, just to move him over and cement that place there.
Was that Smith that he's just passed there, was it?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Nice.
So we've got Smith in the BMW, Brown in the Ferrari, just picking his way up from, obviously, his earlier incident and making his way back up through the pack.
Smith looked like he was moving a bit slower there than the other cars. Oh, we're back with Busby and Armstrong battle now, Tim.
Yeah, so these two, just 4/10 separating them. We were saying just, obviously, before we had the Lawson accident, obviously, tactics now start to come into play. We're currently half race distance approximately. They're going to be looking to the pit window is definitely open.
We've got Carl Cranswick in the pits at the moment by the looks of it, and Tony Blenkinsop also in there.
So he's just starting to take that.
Just heard that Tony actually had a crash, and that's potentially why he's in the pit.
Comes down into bus stop. Looking good so far. No, he's just... No, he's got almost like a very late call there to pull into the pits. As the fight resumes. Armstrong versus Busby. Yet
really
another lap.
Pushing it into that last chicane there. Looks like that Ferrari's really trying to get away from him on the rear end. James Armstrong, though, still so close. Only 6/10 in it at the moment into La Source.
So, with 28 minutes to go, your order is Shadbolt, who's now running away at the front in first place. Busby second, Armstrong third, Hitchin fourth. Gravili, who's just seemed to have drifted back from Armstrong and just fallen away, unfortunately. He hasn't managed to catch onto the tail string of Armstrong and pull himself up into this fight, so I know he'd be disappointed about that. Got Stuart Bickley in sixth. Ben Cullen, 7th, and 3rd place of our AM drivers. Masters in 8th, Hitchin 3rd, and Norman in 10th place. So it's Chris Hitchin. We do have 2 Hitchins today. Another worth mentioning as well is we have James Armstrong, obviously running in 3rd. Getting incredibly close there to Busby, now down to 2/10, literally on the gearbox of Busby.
Really pushing him hard there.
Rob Armstrong as well, running in the AM. He's running in the AM category. He's currently running down in 16th place.
5th in the AMSO for R Armstrong, just to point out. So he's still placing well in his own league.
Definitely. So
Busby looked a little bit wide to Phil on there. In fact, James Armstrong's still only 2/10 away in quite a technical part of the track, and he's getting really close now. Really pushing him. We're going to be coming into Stavlo in a moment.
This is where Armstrong said he thought he'd be strong coming through the technical sections of the course.
The Ferrari definitely looks like he's dancing around a little bit now. Looks like he's losing a lot of time there.
It's, of course, approaching the pit window as well. Looking for new tyres that's going to be heavily worn, especially where I would imagine, Nick, Armstrong's surely going to have taken quite a bit out of his tyres where he's been driving the absolute performance out of that Lamborghini.
Well, Tim, I think some in these VRS style races, actually the tyres are completely optional. I think in a lot of the GT3 races, it's normally just the fuel at this kind of race length. I don't think tyres will necessarily come into play. I mean, later on in the race, sure, these guys are going to be pushing some pretty worn rubber, some worn tyres, but a change seems probably a little over the top for most of these guys for a race of this length. I think a lot of these guys are skilled enough that they'll be able to control a car into the later stages of the race when the wear comes into play. And it's probably even not that much rubber wear, really, in the grand scheme of things, compared to some of the endurance races, obviously, that these guys are really used to. Like we said earlier, the Daytona 24, and there's a lot of other endurance races these guys get involved in as well as part of the iRacing community. Now, that is a car coming out of the pits there as we continue to watch the Busby and Armstrong battle down the Kemmel Straight.
Just worth mentioning, Nick Printers managed to pass Chris Hitchin for 30th place off camera, just while we've been concentrating on this battle, as I think we're just cutting to him now. Not true.
He got him on the pit exit. He got him on the pit exit.
So that is for position there. Brilliant move from Print. He'll be happy he's moved up through the field. He's been one of our stronger racers during the championship so far. He's picked up. He was the winner at round 3 in Alton. Brands Hatch, he finished in 2nd place. So, and also in the first round, he had a podium at Silverstone. So it'd be disappointing that in himself that he's running around currently in 13th place, I'm sure.
Now, looking at the cars up front, we have Aidan Shadbolt still. Aidan is now almost 4 seconds ahead of the Busby-Armstrong battle, which is still going strong. Busby's going to be tired by the end of this race, with Armstrong snapping at his heels for the entire thing, not to mention the fact that he's already had Hitchin snapping at his heels for a good chunk of the race as well. Now, if you were Mr. Shadbolt right now, I think you'd be feeling relatively comfortable, wouldn't you, Tim?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's currently first place by around about 4 seconds. He's got the fastest lap as well, a 2:17.7. So it looks like he's got pretty much game, set, and match here, currently on this pace. Nobody challenging him at all.
Have a look at Armstrong.
Trying to get close, coming up to bus stop chicane, but he just can't seem to find a way past. Every time he seems to get within passing distance, I think the closest we've seen him is around about 2 tenths. He just can't seem to be able to find a way past Paul Busby, who's making that Ferrari about as wide as a double-decker bus currently.
Hitchin could do it, so why can't Armstrong do it? Now we're just going to go to a Tom Farrell incident. It looks like he's just on the inside there on the grass. He spun it around. A little bit different to the one that we saw previously at Fuon. He's managed to keep it a bit tight. He's right in the middle of the track there. That's going to be a bit of a hazard for anybody that's coming around there quickly, as we know it's quite blind there. Now we are back on board with Armstrong, who's having a little look around the right hand side of Paul Busby. He's going to go for it under braking. He's getting right.
Tight. No! How have they managed that?
They've both made it through. Incredible work from Busby to hold it together. Armstrong really trying to show his mettle now. Really showing what he's got.
Wow, how close was that? Someone go and get me a cigarette paper and I'll see if I can try and fit it between those two.
This battle has been a very, very high focus point. It's actually been the closest two drivers throughout the majority of this race, by the looks of it. Most of the other gaps that we've got are well over a second. I will say actually that Rob Armstrong appears to be being followed quite closely by Carl Cranswick at the moment, only 8/10, but we're going to have to stay on this Armstrong-Busby battle because it's so close. Oh, actually, no, we do have a quick clip of Rob Armstrong getting
Looks like he's making the
around
move.
him. Nicely done. Very tidy in the Ben and Jerry's Merc. And now we're back with Paul Busby as we were a moment ago. James Armstrong still looking to make that move. Just can't quite get it close enough or in the right position. Paul's covering all the angles. This really could come down to the pit stop, Tim.
Oh, I think so. It's who's going to be able to get the undercut, I would imagine, when you say Nick. And one of the things when we have a bit of our driver rounds yesterday morning, I found obviously where we're running the endurance pits, where you have the Grand Prix pits and also the extended pits further down. It's quite a tight section where you come round on the inside of the source. Could you be so it'd be interesting to see how the drivers sort of navigate that and if they can make a clean line without losing any potential time there.
And with this being iRacing, any kind of minor mishap involving a pit lane concrete walk, we've seen the horror movie clips of people getting the cars wedged in there to the point where they can't get out and they end up stopping other cars. So we hope that we don't get another moment like those kind of fail videos from YouTube where we see iRacing flops, should we say, or whoopsies. Now, James Armstrong appears to have dropped back. He's not really got the distance that he had previously on the Kemmel Straight, and Paul should have a much more comfortable entry into Les Combes this time, hopefully. Now, there's a car behind us. That's still Hitchin that we've got following there. Hitchin not really managing to close the gap up at all at the minute, is he?
No, I was going to say that one to yourself as well. It's 2 seconds down on Armstrong in third place. Obviously, where Busby and Armstrong have been fighting every step of the way, every lap. Why do you think Hitchin's struggling to capitalise?
I'm not sure, really, because it looks like James's last lap was actually about 3 or 4 tenths slower than Hitchin was. They're doing very similar best lap times at the minute. It doesn't entirely add up as to why he can't quite close that gap down. Now, it looks like James is giving Paul a flash. Paul's had a lot of flashing headlights at him during this race of people trying to tell him to get out of the way. Now, James, you're fighting for position here. You've got to do the work. You can't just flash at him and hope that he's going to move over. Let's see if he can make this work now. You're going to be coming into the last section of the track, into Blanchimont. We've seen a lot of moves, or attempted moves even, at least into the chicane at the end. So let's see if James can get it done this time.
Well, one worth mentioning is Catchpole. Last time around, he set his best lap. So congratulations to Alistair Catchpole. It was a 2:20 dead. So that's good progress from himself. So obviously, we've got these two coming into the pits now. Busby and Armstrong line the stern. Well, as they slam on the brakes there for the pit space limiter, and it's an absolute age to get through the pits.
The top four have all gone in the pits, Tim. Hitchin, and it looks like Gravili has also got in there as well. Now, while these guys are all trundling through the pit lane, it's probably just worth mentioning we've had some really great views of these cars throughout this race. That's thanks to Track Cams 22. We've been running a slightly different camera setup to the standard iRacing cameras, and Track Cams 22 has enabled us to give you some really good shots of these guys racing really, really hard today, especially those really close battles up the front. Now, we are on board with, we are watching Nick Print. That's position number 7 on track in the Lambo at the minute. Now, looking at Nick, his lap times. Let's have a little look now. It looks like his best is a 2:18.1. It's quite similar to some of the other cars around, similar position to him at the moment. Now, I want to see where Busby and Armstrong end up coming out of this pit lane battle.
So they're all just sat there waiting now. So it looks like their pit boxes are at the bottom of the pit lane, right at the entry to the La Source and Radion complex. As
bolts out.
he's gone. As they all file out Launerson.
It
Just
looks like Busby's gotten out ahead of Armstrong, judging from the timing screens.
and it looks like he's pulled a bit of a gap as well. Looks like he's managed to capitalise during the pit stops.
So the question is that a strong pit stop from Busby, Tim, or is that a weak pit stop from Armstrong?
Not too sure at the moment. So so it's exactly the same times from looking at it almost. So I'm not too sure what's caused the gap from Armstrong. It may well be that he just pulled up to his pit box not quite correctly, or yeah, I'm not too sure on that one. So during that last lap, we had literally the top 8 cars all visit the pit lane. I think Kvili, he seems to have just quietly just been racing his own race, and he's now catching up onto the back of the top 4. So he's currently around about 2 seconds behind Hitchin. That gap was around about 5 or 6 seconds a few laps ago.
Just we're going to catch pole now.
Not sure. There we go.
Oh, there he is. Now we've got him there. Oh, we lost catch pole there on the camera, so now we're bringing you some shots of Cameron Brown now. Cameron Brown racing the Ferrari. We haven't seen a whole lot of action from Cameron Brown. He had that off earlier. That car's still looking a little bit bent out of shape in places, possibly. So fantastic colours there. He's got the UK iRacing livery on that Ferrari there. It's again looking really great in some of these camera shots we've got from Track Cams 22.
Definitely. So just off camera, we've had the 2 Smiths trade places. So Neil Smith has managed to get past Daniel Smith all the way down in 21st place for that battle there. So there we go. That's why it looks like he's gone very, very wide there, Daniel Smith. So a nice easy pass there for Neil. As you can see, Daniel just rejoined the track in the BMW in the distance. So
I believe we had an off-track from Neil Smith, or we had him slow down off-track earlier, didn't we? So he'll be glad to get a freebie. We're just going to go to a quick view of Stuart Bickley at La Source. Now, he's still got Ben Cullen behind him. This battle has been going on for quite a while now. Ben's still trying to look to get that position back. He has got the slipstream here up into Radion Rouge. Let's see if he can pull anything into Les Combes.
Really rode the curbs on the entry there. But it looks like he's probably just, would you say, a bit too far back to mount an attack at the end of the Kevin straight.
Oh no, he's just moved to the inside there. It looks like just a fakie trying to break that toe. He's not quite been able to make the move there from Cullen. Still incredibly close. There's still an opportunity for a late braking manoeuvre here into Bruxelles. Some people like to cut it in a slightly wider. Some people like to keep it quite tight on the inside here on the right. It looks like they've both gone for similar lines. Now, who's going to get the cleaner exit? I think they've both got a similar line there into the left-hander. This one can really throw you off if you get it wrong. There's also potential for an off-track there if you go a little bit too wide on the right. Now, what can Bickley do here in F1? Oh, just hearing that Cam Brown looks like we've got a camera angle for him.
Yeah, so that is a trade for place between him and Cranswick. Brown's just gone up the inside there at Carl Cranswick. Ferrari passing BMW. So Cam Brown will be looking to get his head down now, extend that grap up. Brilliant board view now with Cameron Brown. As we just listen to, do you know, one of the things I love, Nick, about GT3s is that how different all the engines sound. As you just listen, you can hear the deep rumble of that Mercedes AMG V8. You got the high-pitched V8s of the Ferrari 488 GT3. And there we go.
We are on board with Rob Armstrong there in the Merc. As you were just saying, the news, the sound from that Mercedes is it's quite unique. I always find the GTE car noise is also incredible. There's a real high-pitched whine on the BMW M8 that's I think is quite a resonating noise. It just reminds me of a lot of battles in the past. Now James Armstrong looking a lot closer to Paul Busby at the Kemmel Straight. Still not quite close enough to make the move though, Tim.
No, he's got this gap down to around about a quarter of a second now. Obviously, he lost out during the pit stops. The gap extended between the two to around about 1.5 seconds. So James has worked hard. He's managed to bring his way back up.
Pit stops not really his friend, are they? Based on recent history.
No, definitely not. As looks like somewhere off. Cranswick seems to have had an off-track, off-camera somewhere. As
I think we might actually have an incident from Catchpole, Tim.
Oh
my
word. Wow!
No,
He's had a big one there, gone somersaulting through the air. As the BMW's led in a wreck at the entrance to the bus stop chicane. As Catchpole he seemed to get lucky and just get clipped by the flipping BMW. As we now ride with Carl Cranswick. Wait, sky ground as he rolls it over and over again.
Oh, horrible accident. Now Carl's actually a VR driver, I believe.
So that'll be painful.
Carl's room might be spinning a little bit after that. Now that car is absolutely wrecked. There's absolutely no way he's going to finish this race with 11 minutes to go and a car looking like that. Now Armstrong is still chasing Busby. Can Busby hold on to it? The gap doesn't really look like it's coming down too much, is it?
No, we've got 10 minutes to go now. We've enjoyed 50 minutes of Busby battling with either Hitchin or or Armstrong. What could he do to just catch a break and just have a bit of clear air and not have to be constantly looking in his mirrors at either the Ferrari of Hitchin and now, for majority of the race, the Lamborghini of Armstrong?
Paul has really got to rely on one of two things now. He either gets round a back marker that slows down Armstrong. There's a bit of smoke they're driving through there. I'm not sure necessarily that might have been the smoke of Carl Cranswick's car in the pits. Now, the other thing that might work in Busby's favour here is we do know that Armstrong has had some accidents in previous races. We saw some errors, I believe, in the last GT3 race in the Radicals, but he's looking very fighty here. Is he going to pull out from manoeuvre? No, he's not. He's just going to let it happen.
That was close.
He looked like he was a bit squirmy there, didn't he?
It was a little bit, just lost it a little bit on the rear end. Just worth a mention, off camera, Cam Brown, he's managed to make his way past Rob Armstrong for P11. As we ride with Cam Brown now. Brilliant in-shot from Cam's 22.
That's the outside, lovely.
Brilliant move there, absolutely brilliant move.
Oh, it was still close on the exit. We're going to stay on this camera for a minute. Rob Armstrong now in the Ben & Jerry's liveried Mercedes, following through there. He's going to crash in a moment, I believe. This is at least an off-track or a crash that we've caught. Let's just keep watching him through here.
It looks like, just looking at this laboratory, it looks like there's a few people just having off-tracks and slight incidents. It looks like the longer races, a bit of fatigue is starting to creep in now to the drivers. A few sloppy mistakes, and there we go.
Too deep.
Round he goes.
So we're going to take you back to a live view now of Mr. Busby. Still in P1, being chased down. It doesn't really look like that gap is closing. 0.6 of a second at the moment between James Armstrong and Paul Busby.
Oh, definitely. So, obviously, if you've got any questions in the Twitch channel, feel free to post them up in the chat. After the race, we'll be posing those questions to Nick. And also, we're hopefully going to have a live interview with our race winner. So, any questions for them, feel free to post them into the Twitch stream and we'll pick up your questions. Also, if you're interested in joining the Discord community, feel free to drop a message in there. It'll get picked up by one of our admins and we will send you an invite across.
We're just looking at some camera angles now of Gary Bennington, who is running in P5 for the AM class. Gary Bennington, I think, has had a relatively peaceful race. I don't think we've really seen how he's gone off. Now we've got David Norman in the Ferrari P9 in the pro class. So let's Let's see what happens here. He is being chased down currently by Catchpole.
And that is for position as well. So they are the closest racers on track. There's currently around about a third of a second separating the two of them.
That Audi is incredibly close.
Oh, it is. It's almost reminiscent of what we've seen most of the race between Busby and Armstrong. The way these two are going at it.
Yeah, instead of a Ferrari and a Lambo, we're watching a Ferrari and an Audi here. Now, it does look to me like Catchpole has been sticking to the back of Norman quite closely there. Let's see if he pulls that classic manoeuvre of following him all the way up the hill and down the Camel Straight for a manoeuvre, just in the way that we've seen earlier in the race from a lot of other battles. Oh, I've just heard that P1 has gone off. We may switch to that in a moment.
So yeah, we ride with Shadbolt now. Oh, no. No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't gone off.
So Shadbolt's got a nice clear track in front of him, and behind him as well. He's extended that gap out of the front now to 4.7 seconds. He's had quite a quiet race, to be fair, hasn't he? He's just been driving around with it by himself.
Well, you wouldn't want it any other way in P1, would you? A nice peaceful race. I mean, yeah, we all know maybe it gets a bit lonely out there in no man's land at the front, but when you're winning and you're beating a whole load of pro drivers from the AM class, then that's something to be proud of.
I hope Shadbolt's back for season 2, because I think he'll be definitely one to watch next season. So, definitely have caught the attention of Busby and Armstrong, Hitchin and Gravelli, our other drivers. So we currently ride with Cam Brown, obviously in the Ferrari. Matching overalls as well. As he's spun it, he's lost it.
Oh wow, that's a replay we've just seen here of Cam Brown. He's got it. Oh, and he's gotten right in the way of a fight there between Catchpole and Norman, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's lost places to both of them. He's had quite an inconsistent race as Brown. He's made up great pace. He's made up places, only to silly mistakes just creeping in to then lose it again. As Armstrong giving Busby the hurry up again, on the lights, flashing him, just trying to force him into making some sort of mistake there, Nick.
Again, this is down to 3/10. We keep catching a quick onboard clip of James Armstrong's car from the inside, and I couldn't help but notice the Queen on the helmet there. I don't know if you saw the helmet livery.
I missed
work
that
out
one.
what it was to start off with.
Clearly a very patriotic man. There we go.
There we go. There is that camera view we just talked about. Well, okay. We're going to go back to the battle now. 0.4 of a second between Armstrong and Busby. Will he make the pass? He's got 4.5 minutes to do the job. We're going to have to keep watching this. I'm also very interested in. Oh, it looks like Catchpole has finally got past Norman as well. What circumstances? I'm not sure, because it looks like Norman has lost 2 seconds. Nick Print also dropped a load of places.
It
so
looks like, yeah, I've got
possibly a pit stop maybe.
Well, yeah, it looks like we've got Cam Brown as well visiting the pits, unfortunately. He'll be disappointed with this race today. Could well be a splash and dash just to get him over the line and close out the race. He's currently Cam Brown running in 15th place. The last of our drivers who are yet to be lapped. So Shadbolt's had a cracking rate. He's lapped all the way up to including P16. Tom Carroll in P16 there. So just looking up and down the order, it looks like the battle between Busby and Armstrong is the closest we've got. Like you say, Nick, there's 3 minutes left of the race now, so around about 2 laps. So he needs to make up basically 1/10 of a minute on Busby. Do you think he's going to manage it? Place your bets now.
Well, just watching the rear of that Lamborghini sliding out right a little bit on the exit of Radion, it's things like that are going to keep costing him time. Now he is closing the gap and straight, but not enough. We're going to the roll bar view now, into their coombe, putting that left-hander behind Paul Busby, into the right, going down into Broussard now. Was James going to try a late braking manoeuvre, or is he going to let it just continue the flow, keep following Busby until he makes a mistake? Now he looks a little bit wider, or is he just being patient? No, he's actually got a decent exit there. Now we're going to come into the left-hander. Ooh, off the throttle a little bit. He's kept it. He's kept it. We're going to keep following this battle for the next lap and see if Armstrong can make it round into Fuon. No change here. The gap looks about the same. Not really gaining anything. That's still half a second between these two cars.
Just yet again, obviously, a brilliant view from Track Cams 22, giving us this brilliant angle as we watch the battle between Armstrong and Busby. Pretty much a race-long battle continue, fighting out to the absolute death. We're now just approaching 2 minutes left of the race, and Nick, call it. Who's going to finish, take second place overall? Is it going to be Busby or Armstrong?
At the minute, I'm really hoping for Busby. He's put up a real fight. He's had Hitchin to fight with. He was chasing Shadbolt at the start. He's had Armstrong to fight with. And I think even Nick Print was up there at one point, possibly. So I'm really, I'm hoping for Paul Busby on this one. He's just got to hang on to it. It looks like James, the gap is still 7/10 now, so he's lost a little bit there. He's not got long to do it now, though. Only 1.5 minutes left to get the job done and take the position from Paul. I couldn't call this. It's tight, but I'd really like to see Paul hang on to it. He's worked really hard for this.
Well, he's worked his socks off all race long. I think he must have spent half the race just looking in his rear-view mirror at whichever car was behind at the time, whether it be Armstrong or Hitchin at the start of the race. As they make their way now all the way up to Radion and Eau Rouge. Nice and comfortable. Busby looking to make no mistakes, take a nice smooth line. All the pressure's now on Armstrong, and looks like he's just that bit too far back. Well, definitely on this lap to try and make a move on Busby.
He's way too far back. Armstrong has dropped about another half a second or so. He's now 1.2, 1.3 down. So I think Armstrong could be fuel saving. Let's hope that he's not going to run out. Now we're going to go to Shadbolt for the final lap of this race. We're going to watch Shadbolt go round. He's had a very peaceful race, as we said already. Up at the front, he's not really had to worry about the Busbys and the Armstrongs because they've been keeping each other very busy throughout the entirety of this race. Now, we did mention Hitchin as well. Hitchin actually about 6 seconds back from Armstrong by the looks of it. Busby's lost position.
He's crashed off camera. Oh, Paul Busby. No. No. He'll be absolutely devastated. He's worked all race long.
He's lost it on No Name. He's lost it on No Name.
No,
and then James just managed
Paul.
to keep it. Oh, no,
Oh, Paul.
I've just
Nearly an hour of racing, and Nick, you have jinxed it. He'll be coming after you in the Discord after this. As we go back to Shadbolt, who's, I feel a bit bad for him in some ways. Nick, we've hardly mentioned him. He's been that clinical. He's just been consistent lap after lap. He's got the fastest lap. He's now 8.5 seconds ahead at the lead.
Well, as
Brilliant
I say,
racing.
no news is good news sometimes, and no news throughout the race about Shadbolt has been good news because that means he's been at the front, keeping it clean and getting on with it. Now, we were just mentioning Hitchin a minute ago being about 6 seconds back. He's only 1 second back from Busby now, but here comes Shadbolt over the start-finish straight, your race winner.
Congratulations, Aidan Shadbolt, race winner of round 6 of the UK iRacing Discord's GT3 League.
Now, Hitchin right on the back of Busby here. Not quite going to make it over the over the start-finish straight, is he? Had a chance.
He did, but it wasn't quite late enough in the day. It's too late in the day, unfortunately. But Paul Busby, he'll be devastated with a 3rd place. Absolutely devastated. And James Armstrong, he said beforehand he'd love a win to try and cement that, I believe it's 3rd place overall in the championship. And he's won the pro category today.
Well done,
so he'll be absolutely chuffed to bits with that. I know he was a bit dubious, obviously, going into the race, as we just watch Masters come across the line there in the Ferrari.
It looks like Ben Cullen actually did stay behind Bickley for the remainder of that race. He didn't try any dangerous moves. Now we're just watching Hitchin and Catchpole. This is the closest battle we've got on track now. It looks like we've got a bit of damage there on Hitchin's car at the front.
Definitely. So it'd be interesting. This is now. We're just
coming
into the bus stop. It's going to go around the outside. Oh, hold tight, everyone, as we come into the bus stop chicane. The line is stern. There's nothing between them. Oh, and I think who's going to make it? We can't tell from this angle. They're going to cross the line pretty much line astern. As
That was
I think,
incredibly close.
I
We
think
had contact there on the last chicane.
Catchpole got it by 9/100ths of a second at the line. You could not get any closer than that.
Fantastic work from Catchpole. That must have been a damaged car on Hitchens' part, or he lost some speed there coming through the through Blanchimont, and then Catchpole was just right on him. It came on the right-hand side, absolutely knew where he was going.
Brilliant.
Right.
So, what?
Brilliant race. Brilliant race. We've seen so much action there, Tim.
I'm partly speechless. I don't know, where do we begin to try and dissect and go over that race? We've had battles up and down the field, and I think this is just proof why GT3 racing is just so popular. Whether it be in iRacing, obviously you've got Assetto Corsa Competizione, which is basically a dedicated game to the GT3 genre, as we've obviously now showing the results. So, in first place, Armstrong, just pipping it at the death there. Obviously, this is for the GT3 Pro section. Race winner picking up 25 points. Second place, Paul, heavily unlucky Paul Busby, who drove an absolutely brilliant race, only to lose it at the absolute death. Jonathan Hitchin picks up third place. Gravilli, the Lamborghini in fourth. Stuart Bickley, great race from him in the Ferrari 488 GT3, picks up fifth place. Catchpole, the first of the Audi runners, in sixth. Chris Hitchin in the Lamborghini in seventh. David Norman in eighth place. Nick Print in ninth. Cameron Brown and Tom Farrell in 11th. Damien Gee, 12th. Carl Cranswick in 13th, the first of the BMW runners. Three BMW runners running line astern there of Cranswick, Daniel Smith, and Tony. And then we've got Carol Lowerson and Chris Eddersford rounding up the top 18. As now, I believe we've been joined by our race winner, Aidan.
Hello.
Are you there? Congratulations, sir. The winner of race 6, the last race of the season of the first season of iRacing UK's GT3 League. How does it feel?
I honestly didn't expect it. I thought Jonathan, I've been seeing him in practices and he's been really quick and consistent, but I managed to just keep it there at the front.
But myself and Nick were saying we felt a bit guilty during the commentary because we hardly mentioned you, because you just seemed to cement a comfortable lead at the front and walk away with it, and you also picked up fastest lap as well.
Yeah, I just saw that. I thought Paul would get the fastest lap with his setup. It looked like it was going to kill him at one point, but that's a shock.
Do you think that possibly the battles that Paul had to put up with Hitchin and Armstrong behind you probably maybe helped you build that gap a little bit and made it a bit more of a relaxed race for you? Were you expecting to kind of have them almost do the work for you, slowing each other down a little bit?
Yeah, that's that. I was thinking that once I got past Paul, late on the second lap, I think it was, I knew immediately they're going to be fighting behind, so I was just staying consistent and nurturing my tires, really. And I knew they were going to do most of the work for me, so I just focused on what was ahead.
Any particularly scary moments in that race at all?
No, none. I got a bit of a scare when one of the lap cars came through, but that was about it. It was pretty chill race.
You did seem to get quite lucky with the back markers, and you seemed to just sieve your way through the field, and they did seem to move quite out the way in quite convenient places for you as well. So you didn't seem to lose too much time. Did it feel like that in the car?
Yeah, I noticed I caught up to them a lot on the straights and not in any corners, whereas Paul was trying to fight them through a rouge, I think, at one point, and he lost a ton of time to me. So I was definitely celebrating at that.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Are we expected to see you in season 2 of the GT3s, Aidan?
Yeah, I'll be in that. Hopefully contending for the lead.
Excellent stuff.
Definitely, I'm sure you've definitely raised a few eyebrows with that performance today amongst the stronger runners in the field. And dare I say it, probably, with some consistent races might put you in as one of the favourites for winner of the overall championship.
That would be amazing, but there's still a lot of races there and a lot more people coming in, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. All right. Okay. And Aidan, thank you very, very much for talking with us. We're gonna be able to talk to Jonathan Hitchin now.
Thank you, Aidan.
Thank you.
Excellent to speak to the race winner there. So we're going to welcome in Jonathan Hitchin now to the voice channel. So welcome, Jonathan. How did you find that race?
Oh, a few technical difficulties there. Not sure. Can you hear us
Hello.
okay, Jonathan?
Oh yeah.
Hi there. Sorry about that.
We can hear you. Great. How was that for you, Jonathan? It looked like you had some real good chances at certain points of that race to put some pressure on Paul. And then even towards the end, it looked like there was a chance after his accident. Just talk us through how that felt for you.
Yeah, I was just trying to get past Paul. I think he set his car up to take the straights quite quickly, so I couldn't get past him really, just through the midsection. But yeah, it was too good through there as well. Had a few chances to pass him, but yeah, ultimately failed in the end. And yeah, I thought I could nip him at the end there, but looks like he got home safely.
So when you saw Paul have that accident, did you think there was a real chance for you there? I mean, you were about, I think, 5, maybe even almost 6 seconds behind him at that point. Were you really expected to have a chance like that, right? So late in the last parts of the race.
Not really, no. He had a strong race until that mistake. But obviously, I tried to get him at the end there, but the tyres were gone.
So, Jonathan,
Yeah.
I think I've just heard from our producer in my ear that I think congratulations are in order. And how do these words sound? Jonathan Hitchin, 187 points, winner of Season 1 of the UK iRacing GT3 League. How do those words feel?
That sounds pretty good to me. It was hard fought throughout. Congrats to all the other guys as well. They really pushed me.
Well, John, thanks very much for joining us in the commentary box for that chat. It's been really great to have you, and congratulations again, and congratulations on a really entertaining, great race that you put on for us today.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Jonathan. Take care. I think we're going to be joined now by probably the most unluckiest man in the race, Mr. Paul Busby.
Evening, gents.
Paul, we were both yelling in the commentary. How gutted do you feel right now?
I've already been in power smoke 2 cigarettes in the meantime to try and get over it. Honestly, I set the car up in such a way so it had such low downforce that it was a battle all race to try and keep it on the track. Through the infield sections, I was slower than the other guys, so defending hard. I thought I'd done enough, and just going into no name, I just put the wheel too far over the curb, and it just kind of grounded the bottom of the car out and sent me round, which, yeah, not good.
So we were watching you really closely throughout the race, Paul. It looks like you were the person that had to probably the most defending in the entire race, because you had people like Hitchin behind you at points. You've had Armstrong fighting you throughout the race and putting pressure on. It looked like you almost seemed to get a bit of a better exit out the pit stop compared to Armstrong, although the times for the pit stop looked very similar. Did you think that you had him when you had that gap, or did you know that he was going to start chopping away the seconds again?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought I'd done just enough, but yeah, it was just so hard to keep the car on the track. My tyres were finished, and to be honest, when I noticed the gap, I should have taken my foot off it a bit. But by the time you get into a rhythm, you just kind of try and hit your marks, right? And I just wanted to get to the end, and it just wasn't to be today. But I'll take a P2.
Definitely. It was. So you finished P5 in the championship. You happy with that result?
Yeah, to be honest, I was aiming for a podium when the league started, but to be honest, the first couple of weeks the Ferrari wasn't particularly competitive, and then I had a terrible week at Brands Hatch where I was expected to kind of do a lot better than I did. But yeah, P5 first season, great foundations to build on for next season.
Are we going to see you in season 2, Paul?
Yeah, for sure. You'll see me battling hard.
Great stuff. Well, we can't wait to watch it. That was an absolute joy for us to watch and commentate over this evening.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'm looking forward to watching it back myself. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Paul. So, wow. So we've managed to hear from a few of the contenders. Obviously, our race winner, our new champion, and a man who had quite possibly the unluckiest final lap in the history of racing, possibly.
Oh, I don't know about that. We were
Wow.
talking earlier about Lando on that final lap. So let's maybe in the UK iRacing Discord community history. But let's just take a quick rundown of the top 10 from the championship and before we close out this evening. So that's Jonathan Hitchin, your first place, your winner of this first league of GT3 racing for UK iRacing community. Then followed by Gravili, Print, Armstrong, Busby, Bickley, Catchpole, Cranswick, Hitchin, Brown, and then that is the end of your top 10 with Brown. So, Tim, any final thoughts?
Wow. I think I'm going to need to go have a lie down after that race. Obviously, for all the people watching, if you'd like to be part of our community, it's absolutely fantastic community. Please drop a comment into the comments. That'll get picked up one of our admins, and they'll send you a connection to be able to join. We cover absolutely everything across all different skill bases. So people in rookie masters, all the way up to high level racing. It's very much, as I'm sure you'll agree, Nick. Everyone comes for the racing, but ends up staying for the community.
Absolutely true. Like I say, we're covering a lot of bases now, a lot of different car classes, competitions, and leagues that are now running on a regularly frequent basis across a lot of disciplines. So, yeah, very much worth getting involved. There's a Facebook community link there on screen for you. So, with that, I think we'd just like to cover what's coming up next. So on Tuesday, that's the 2nd of February, we've got Radicals Round 5, Lime Rock Park. That should be an interesting race. Very quick circuit, Lime Rock, especially in these Radicals. The week after that, we've also got the Radicals Round 6 at Alton Park. Tim, are you racing in either of those? No, you've been commentating those, haven't you?
So I'll be commentating on the Radicals. I'll be back in the combo for those, but I'll be racing in the MX-5. Keep an eye out for a nice pink Barbie car.
Yeah, so I'll be racing the Radicals, so maybe we're going to have to swap commentary seats on across the course of the week at some point. But yeah, so that's what we've got coming up next. I guess all that's left from us is to say thank you very much to all the viewers that have been watching us this evening. From Tim and I, it's thank you and good night.